So we are back. This is my Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom spoiler review. So if you haven't seen the film, I recommend skipping this video. But yeah, so the film came out last week on the 21st, I think. 21st, 22nd. I saw it on 21st. It's been a week, so I thought I'd give you guys a chance to go watch the film. Initial reaction. Personally, I honestly loved it. I know that critics will, bomb this film and take out all of the small nitpicks. But for me personally, I loved it. And to start off, from the beginning of the film, it's very reminiscent of Spider-Man 2. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, where we see Peter balancing college and being Spider-Man and having a part-time job. We see the same thing with Arthur. Like, he's managing being King of the Sea. He's also managing being a father. And it was like a little montage of his life in the beginning of the film. And he's doing a voiceover, and he's kind of just basically giving you the events of the first film. Gives you some flashbacks. And that's how the film starts. And then it goes straight into Black Manta finding the Dark Trident. Now, from what I've heard and from what I've just read, from the comics, this is something that is not from the comics. This was something that was created specifically for the film, which honestly I think they nailed. The idea of, of the original King Atlan also having an evil brother, with his own trident, to me was something very cool, and that's kind of the ongoing theme of Aquaman is family, and that was actually a really cool thing. And I hope that that does become canon at some point in the comics, and that we do see more of that kind of storyline. Personally, loved it. The film at times it feels like it's making fun of itself. Like it's taking itself seriously, but not too seriously. And it's a lot of jokes, but sometimes they don't hit. I liked it, the highlight of the film for me was Orm and Arthur. You really see them, it's honestly, it's a better version of, I think, Thor the Dark World, with Loki and Thor. It's a better version of that, but it's not like monumental, but still it's better than that. And this film is very much it's a bromance. We really see Arthur and Orm put their differences aside and really become brothers, which is something I really loved. Because I've always felt like Orm, not just in the film, but also in the comics, has always been, a villain by circumstance. Like he, sorry, a villain by circumstance, and it just feels like sometimes him and the way he sees the surface world and how he sees, how Atlantis is better. It kind of makes sense just because of the way he was raised, but I think that after spending time with Arthur, seeing human life, seeing, the surface world, that really changed him. In the film, by the end of the film, he's forgiven, and he kind of learns the error of his mistakes, and he actually spends time on the surface world. Him and Arthur fix their problems, they become one, and it was really cool to see. It was basically kind of what we wanted to see, or what we want to see with Loki and Thor right now in the MCU. We've seen Loki kind of become a hero, we've seen Orm become a hero, and with Orm, we saw him with Arthur. We saw them really become brothers. But with Loki, we haven't seen that yet, with Thor. Amber Heard, from what I've heard, a lot of her scenes were cut, because of the trial and the allegations. But she was still in the film. But the thing that I loved is that her amount in the film is perfect. The amount of screen time she has in the film is perfect. The only screen time she has is where she needs to be. Like this film is very like halfway centered around Arthur and his son, Arthur Jr. And it would be weird, like to say like to have Aquaman, but then to also to not have his wife, not to have his mother be there when their son gets kidnapped. Uh, it would have been very weird. And I mean, if she was killed off, before the film, then it would be different. But she wasn't killed off. She's in the film, and it's you can see it's in concrete evidence that she is around. So it would have been weird, when after mother loses their child, the mother just isn't there. But she was there, and her amount in the film was perfect. Volko, Willem Dafoe's character, he died prior to the film. Probably he wasn't in the film was because of scheduling reasons. They shot this film around the same time of Spider-Man No Way Home. So, he was one of the main villains in that film, so he obviously couldn't, go back and forth, with Aquaman. Because in Aquaman, they shot that in New Zealand, and then they shot Spider-Man in Atlanta. So, the CGI was top tier, as it always is. With DC, CGI has never really been a problem, except in The Flash. And everything else CGI DC has done is usually always been really good. Especially, the first Aquaman film was amazing, and they just kept it better. The tone was very shifting. It, like, off the bat, it feels like a comedy, but then it goes the other direction, and then it goes back, and it's like the film doesn't know exactly how much, like, what it is, Length, I thought it was perfect. It was not too long, it also was not too short. I think a lot of times, not just with superhero films, but with just films in general, sometimes the length could be too long, and it feels like the pacing needs fixing. Pacing in this, I think was great. And, I mean, the timing and the amount that they cut, I think, was perfect. Now, the film itself, if I had to rate it, I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. I do think that it could have used some work. The film, it's marketed as Black Manta being the main villain, but he's not. And it's like the main villain, like the main guy, like the main villain of the film is Necrix or something like that. And he shows up at the end, but the thing is, he doesn't even fight, Aquaman. Aquaman he throws his spear at him and he kills him. So it's like Black Manta is the villain, but he's really not the villain because he's possessed. And it goes from him, being like, I want to kill Aquaman, and then being possessed immediately in the beginning of the film. And then it's like his own goals go out the window, and then it's like the main villain takes control of him. So it's like, you didn't really need Black Manta for that. I mean, you could have easily saved Black Manta for the third film, and just have him be Black Manta, not have him be possessed by anyone. So I think that was something that could have used work. And yeah, personally, I liked it. I think it's one of the better DCU films. I know that for a lot of people. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, this film marks the end of the DCEU, and it's not like the best swan song to say goodbye to 10 years. It definitely needed work, and I mean, it is what it is. I think this is going to be the last time that we see Jason Momoa as Aquaman. If he does come back, I think he would be perfect as Lobo. And as far as Patrick Stewart, not Patrick Stewart, what am I saying? Patrick Wilson. Sorry, Patrick Wilson. Honestly, I think he would actually be a good Aquaman. I mean, he's kind of got the looks of Aquaman. Aquaman is traditionally, he's got blonde hair, blue eyes type of deal. He's not really kind of, Jason is Samoan, and that was something that Jason brought, a part of himself to the character. But Aquaman traditionally is usually, he's got that blonde hair, blue eyes. So, I mean, if Patrick does come back and comes back as Aquaman, I honestly would be all for it. If not, then I think there's room for him in the DCU. I was about to say he could play the Flash, but honestly, I think he's too old to play the Flash. But I could see him coming back. Honestly think he will be. I'm trying to think of a character that he could play. I honestly, at the top of my head, I can't think about a character that he can play. But you know what? Actually, he would be a great Black Mask. If they decide to do Black Mask again correctly, not like in Birds of Prey, I think he'd be a great one. I think he'd be a great choice for Black Mask. I would see him kind of being that type of villain. But yeah, so that's my spoiler review, guys, of Aquaman 2. This marks the end of the DCEU. 2024 for DC is very dry. We do have a video game coming out. We've got Suicide Squad coming out, which is very controversial right now. We do have the Wonder Woman game, I think, coming out. And then for television series, we've got the Penguin series, which that's an Elseworlds story set in the Matt Reeves Batman universe. So that's fine. And then, I think, Creature Commandos, the first DCU animated series written by James Gunn. And that's it. Oh, and the Joker sequel, which I'm not going to watch. Like, here's the thing, guys. I'm a diehard DC fan, but sometimes if there's something coming out, I'm not going to watch it. Especially something like Joker. I didn't see the first film, and to me, the reason why I didn't see it was because I did not want to support a film which I don't think should be made in the first place. Don't get me wrong, I think the Joker is an amazing villain, but he doesn't need his own film. Honestly, I don't think he deserves his own film. He's a great villain, and he's a great, I think he's a great addition in a film. But giving him his own solo film, to me, is just a waste of time and a waste of money. And I don't know why the old WB execs decided that it was okay to make a sequel. I'm not going to watch it, and I hope none of you do too, because if you don't watch it and it makes no money, then they're not going to make a third one. So please, if you don't support the Joker, don't watch it. I'm not going to watch it. And then, 2025, we have to wait till July. So we have to wait till mid-2025 for Superman Legacy. Guys, I'm so excited. From what I've heard, Superman Legacy is going to be the traditional Superman, the hopeful, the beacon of hope, the Superman that we all know and love. Not the dark and gritty Man of Steel that, Zack Snyder gave us. I have no love for Zack Snyder. I honestly don't. I hope he stays away from DC in the future. So Superman Legacy, July 2025, and then we get the Batman sequel, October 2025. Which I've heard rumors that Hush might be the villain, which I'll talk about that in a different video. But for the time being, have a nice one, guys. Have a new year. Next time I'll post will probably be after New Year, so it'll be 2024. Hope you guys are having great times with your families and friends and loved ones. But have a nice one, guys, and thanks for watching.